Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So the first week of OTAs is in the books for the Ravens. A lot of veterans showed out, especially earlier in the week. It was exciting just to see the crew back together, get out there on the field. Feels like football's right around the corner, even though we still have some months left. I'm so hyped to see what Derrick Henry brings to the Ravens this year. I mean, health depending, there's almost no way this doesn't work. I think he boosts our run game tremendously.
I just get the ball in. Go, big guy, go. You know, I'm cheering like the fans. That's all.
He's going to help our pass game out just naturally based off that play action if the run game is succeeding. And it's not like we don't have a great run game every year anyway, but now you're replacing Gus Edwards essentially with Derrick Henry, and that's an insane upgrade. Shout out to Gus. Love Gus. But Derrick Henry is going to get his. He's going to be impossible to bring down. He's going to be guaranteed punches in on the goal line, and is going to force defenses to stack their box consistently, which just opens up a bunch of mismatches everywhere else with Mark and Isaiah Likely and the wide receivers. Speaking of wide receivers, it seems like Malik Cunningham, the backup quarterback that we signed off New England's practice squad last year, has officially moved to wide receiver. I don't know if that move is concrete for the entire offseason, but that's where they're trying him out right now. He's number 12. He's working out with the wide receivers. He's listed as a wide receiver. I really didn't see that coming. I thought Malik had some developmental potential to become the backup quarterback, but they obviously see that completely differently. And drafting Leary in the 6th round this year in the draft, having Josh Johnson again, I think that pretty much solidifies that Malik Cunningham is not really competing for a backup quarterback spot and is probably just competing for a spot on this roster at all at this point. I read that he made some plays in OTAs as a wideout, so that's pretty cool. I mean, we know he's athletic. I'm not surprised by that, but are you athletic enough to become a professional wide receiver? I guess we'll find out soon. And staying on the topic of wide receivers, there's been a lot of Rashad Bateman talk throughout the offseason. We know he got an extension. We know that he's going to be thrusted into a bigger role, and it seems like Monken and Lamar and everyone that talks about him is completely confident in his ability to step into that role and succeed and thrive as the Ravens' number 1/2. I guess Zay's technically the number 1, but you know, if you're both out there, you're still a prime option. I think that Bateman is going to get a lot more targets this year. I think he's going to be more involved. Monken echoed that in his press conference, saying that they have to get Bateman more involved. Lamar seems super excited about it. So I'm high on Bateman this year. He's just got to stay healthy. I think that's my biggest concern. I've never been concerned with Bateman's talent level. You know, I've said that in multiple videos before. I think that Bateman's got a tremendously high ceiling. I think that this dude could become an incredible wide receiver in this league. He just has to be available and produce consistently. And he's been inconsistently available, which naturally is going to make you inconsistently productive. So I think that it goes hand in hand. If he's on the field, he's going to produce, especially as he gains chemistry with Lamar. It's super important that Zay and Bateman and Aguilar and Tez Walker and Tylan Wallace, they were all at OTAs getting chemistry with Lamar. I know Lamar wasn't there the first few days, but they're here early. That's the point, you know what I mean? To summarize this whole thing, they're here early in the offseason. This is super early in the offseason. Usually a lot of veterans on a lot of teams don't even show up to the first week of OTAs, but the majority of this team is here. And Bateman needs to be there to build chemistry with Lamar throughout this offseason so that by the time we get to training camp and by the time that the regular season's here, they're just clicking on all cylinders. Zach Orr had some bold things to say about Kyle Hamilton, saying that he sees him being able to play anywhere in the defense and that he's a chess piece that they can just continuously move around, and he sees a defensive MVP in his future.
Kyle Hamilton, the ultimate chess piece, man. I think he's one of the top players in the league. My goal for him is to, one day win a defensive MVP here of the league. I think he's that type of talent. He has that type of work ethic. He's that type of person. Like I said, the thing about him being the ultimate chess piece, depending on what the offense does, he could play anywhere. He could play safety, deep safety, box safety. He could play corner. He could play nickel. He could play backer. He could even play outside linebacker too. And you guys know he could rush the passer. So the thing that you appreciate about Kyle Hamilton is he works at it. He's a smart player, so he can handle all the different volume that you get him. And I think he's eager going into his third year to do more. So we'll see.
I agree. I think this is arguably the best player on the Ravens. Seriously, I think Kyle Hamilton at 22, 23 years old, I think now is just getting started. I think that we saw the leap we saw from his rookie year to last year should tell you everything you need to know. I mean, we saw a leap like that with Lamar too. His rookie year, we're like, all right, we see the talent here, but like it's not insane yet. And then year 2 comes on, it's like boom, MVP. And Kyle kind of took a leap like that last year, just making plays game after game and just down after down. I think this guy is just getting started, and I'm super excited for his future. I do see a defensive MVP, and by Zach Orr saying that he can move around anywhere. He mentioned multiple times that Kyle can play deep. I think that just adds more answers to us signing a veteran safety and where they may move Kyle Hamilton and what role he may have. So if we sign a Jamal Adams might play more of a older Kyle Hamilton role, and we might see Kyle moved around even more, maybe playing a lot more deep, more often, and still being used in the box and in blitzes like he is, just less of that, more of moving him around the field, and then Jamal Adams can kind of take that role, play a little bit of a linebacker role if we sign Jamal Adams. I'm not even saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying the way Zach Orr talked about Kyle Hamilton as a chess piece playing anywhere kind of frees up what style of safety that we might sign. The final day of OTAs was yesterday, and a lot of vets weren't there for that last day, but it seemed like Devin Leary kind of stole the show at quarterback. I know he threw 2 interceptions, but everyone was raving about him. All the media that was there at practice was saying he just has a really strong arm, was slinging it, throwing it in the tight windows, and they just kind of love the gamerness about him. He's just kind of one of those guys that get out there and just ball. And I didn't know a lot about Leary, obviously, until we drafted him, but T. Martin was super high on him. The Ravens were obviously high on him for them to even take a chance on him. And there's good early reviews. I like his attitude. I've watched a couple interviews. I think he's got a cool, confident demeanor about him. And he seems like a true competitor, somebody that's, desperate to put all they can in to reach the highest version of themselves. And I think that those are the best players and the type of guys that the Ravens want to get. So I'm excited to see him grow throughout this offseason, see if he does end up making this team and doing enough and making enough noise to kind of either be the direct backup or at least that third string. A couple other breakout players that were dominating that last day is Tavius Robinson and Travis Jones on the defensive line. I think that those guys are both poised for a huge breakout season, especially Travis Jones. I think Tavius is going to play a lot more of a role than he did last year, but I think Travis Jones could take a huge leap. He's been flashing and producing every time he gets a chance, so I think his role will expand more as Michael Pierce ages, and we're going to see more and more Travis Jones, and I'm excited for it. I think, honestly, it can be an upgrade. I think the way Travis Jones is taking leaps each year, I could see him taking command of that role and kind of starting to play a bit more than Michael Pierce is even playing. So we'll see how it all plays out. It's super early right now, but hearing great things again from Travis Jones is no surprise. I've been raving about it all last season, all last preseason. I think that every time I see this guy play, I'm like, man, play him more. This guy's got an incredibly bright future, and I'm super excited that he's a Raven. I'm super excited to see what he can do this year and just to watch this whole team play, man. Getting a little taste of this OTAs this week was nice. It was refreshing to see some highlights and just see the guys back out there working. And we got a couple more weeks of OTAs and then obviously mini camp and training camp down the line in the next few months. So football's getting there. It feels right around the corner. It's not quite right around the corner, but it'll probably be here before we know it. But that's it for today. Just kind of wanted to recap the OTA weeks and some things that stood out and just kind of give my thoughts on those. But I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. As always, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim there where the sense can't tame the untamed.